I'm back. This is Family Time 212. We're talking about reflection. This is part of responsible decision making is evaluating and looking back. It's also part of self-management. It's an important thing to do, to take time once in a while to look back at things. Not to dwell on past events or live in the past, but to examine things from our lives. It's a good thing to do as we enter the end of the school year. It's May next week. We all know how crazy May is, and then the school year's over. That's one of the great things, I think, about the school cycle, the school calendar. It has these points where we can reflect and make changes. There's the quarter, the semester, the end of the school year, the start of a new school year. There's athletic and activity seasons, fall, winter, spring. It has this cycle to it, and we can take some of those checkpoints and say, okay, am I on track? Am I doing the things that I wanted to do? What can I change? I love that. I like to be able to do that. Whether it's a football season, I'm looking forward to the next season and saying, here's the things that I want to tweak. Here's the things that went well. Here's the things that we can adjust schematically or things that I can adjust to help athletes understand information, that sort of thing. Same thing in class. I'm always thinking of, okay, what can I do to tweak this? Or what might students find interesting? How can I help engage people? And I get opportunities to take a little break and reset and try some new things. We can do that in our lives, but we have to force it in there a little bit, because sometimes in our daily lives, especially as you get older, it becomes routine. There's a lot of things. Hey, I gotta do the laundry and wash the dishes and go get groceries and run kids to here and there. So as you get older, especially, things become more monotonous days. And maybe monotonous isn't the right word. They become more routine. We get into a rhythm of things, and sometimes we don't take the time to press pause and take a look back and evaluate and say, how have my decisions impacted my current existence? That's what I want you thinking about here. I want you to take a specific situation or period from your life. Think about the decisions that you made in that situation and consider how that decision positively or negatively impacted your life. Or maybe you don't even want to put a label as positive and negative, but think of what outcomes followed that decision. And as you get older, you have way more of those decisions. I can think back of from the time I was your age, where I'm deciding what activities I was really into, what sports I was doing, and how that impacted me. I think football is a good example. I didn't play football at all until I was in 8th grade. I didn't even play as a 7th grader. I didn't play at all until 8th grade. And I really connected with it. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the physicality of it and kind of all the moving parts of it. It kind of made sense to me. And kind of fell in love with it. Wound up being something that was very important to me through high school and played in college. And of course, I'm still coaching and highly involved with football today. So that decision, if I had not decided to go out in 8th grade, I really didn't know that much about it. I had always done martial arts, and I hadn't done a lot of school sports or park and rec sports when I was a kid. I really didn't do any. So moved to St. Ansgar in middle school, started trying some different things, sort of just to try them, because at a small school, most of the kids were involved trying different things. And that was it. I remembered showing up to football practice and kids being like, what position do you play? And I'm like, I don't really know what the positions are, but I liked physical contact. I like that stuff from martial arts. So I'm like, I'm going to give it a try. I think I'm going to like football. And it wound up being something that impacted the rest of my life in a very positive way. So you can think about things like that. Or you can think about decisions that are harder decisions. Like, hey, I had to decide to separate myself from these people. Or I had to decide to go a different direction. I had to decide to stand up for myself. I had to do whatever. Those decisions carry on through our life. And I said it before, I've said it in these videos, I say it again and again, is don't get so caught up in making the right decision. Just make your decision right. But I want you to think about some of the past decisions that you've made. I want you to consider, when you're thinking about decision making, the action feedback loop. There's a lot of different versions of this that are out there, but essentially anytime we make a decision, you make a decision, you take an action, and then something happens. There's some sort of result of our action, positive, negative, indifferent, and then then it's on us to be responsible for ourselves and look at the outcome, look at what happened, use that as feedback, use that as information, and then decide, okay, how am I going to have that impact my next decision? What did I learn from this? That part's on us. Nobody can do it for us. And it's a tough thing sometimes as a teacher and a coach, or maybe see one of you, kids that I care about, maybe make some poor decisions and continue to make poor decisions, to repeat that behavior over and over again, where it's like, ooh, there's a break in that feedback loop, where it's make a decision, carry out an action, negative consequence, something that's not improving your life, not carrying you forward, and then not taking the time, not having the skill. And it's something that has to be practiced. It's a skill to be like, stop, take a look. How has this impacted my life? Is this negative? What do I need to do to make a change? And even if it's not negative, is this getting the result that I want? It could be something as simple as, this is how I've been studying for my tests in science class or whatever. I've been trying to do this, and I haven't done very well on the test. So clearly my current strategy is not taking me where I want to take me. So what do I need to do next? Maybe before you were just studying your notes. And you go, okay, I took the test. That didn't go very well, but I was looking back at the notes I took in class. Well, now it's time to try something new. Maybe it's, you know what, I need to look at my notes from class, and I maybe need to go back to the textbook and kind of reread some things. Maybe I need to ask some people some questions, ask the teacher some questions to clarify some things before going into the test. Then you take the next test, see what the outcome is, and then we try again. That's how it should work, is you need to make adjustments along the way. And the last thing we're going to discuss in class a bit is I want you to consider how your background impacts your decision making. Because it does. The way you grew up, traditions, your family, your culture, those things impact how we make decisions. Sometimes we want to think that we are totally in control of everything in our lives. And I kind of want you to have that mentality that you can take charge of your life. But it's also important to recognize that we're a product of our environments and our past experiences. That impacts our perspective, that impacts our decision making. So sometimes we need to recognize that to be able to either lean into that a little bit or separate ourselves from some of the decision making we've done. I see that sometimes where maybe you're surrounded by people who make some decisions that haven't positively impacted you, and then we repeat those same decisions. That happens a lot with, you see cycles and maybe families of like, oh, this behavior, this thing is a negative situation, and then further generations get caught up in that. So I want you to consider that as well. How does your background impact your decision making? So we're just going to take a decision that you've made. I want you to consider the outcomes from that, and then kind of think about that feedback loop and how you can adjust your decisions from there. All right, until next time, much love.